Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Enjambment tutorials, and as you know, what I do here is to help you prepare well for your exams on the use of English and on literature. If today is the first time on this channel, please start by clicking on the subscribe button and on the notification bell so that you can always get notified each time I upload a new video. And today I'm going to be discussing the poem Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot. Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot. I'll read the poem, analyze it stanza by stanza, also talk about the themes, the structure, and the poetic devices used in the poem. Please stay tuned to the end of this video so you'll be able to understand this poem fully and also be able to answer any question on this poem in your exam. Now let's get straight into the video. A cold morning we heard of it, just the worst time of the year for a journey, and such a long journey. The way is deep and the winter sharp, the very dead of winter, and they come as God, soft-footed, refractory, lying down in the melting snow. There were times we regretted. The summer palaces on slopes, the terraces, and the second girls bring sherbet. Then the camel men cursing and grumbling, and running away, and wanting their liquor, and women. And the night fires going out, and the lack of shelter. And the cities hostile, and the town unfriendly, and the villages dirty and charging high prices. A hard time we had of it. At the end we preferred to travel all night, sleeping in snatches, with the voices singing in our ears, saying that this was all folly. So that was the first stanza. Before I go to the next stanza, let me analyze this stanza. And I would like to talk about the structure before going into the analysis. The poem Journey of the Magi is a three-stanza poem with varying stanza lines and with no regular rhyme pattern. The first stanza is made up of 20 lines, the second stanza is made up of 11 lines, and the third stanza is made up of 12 lines. Now let's begin the analysis of this poem. The first 5 lines of this poem is a quote attributed to an Anglican bishop, Eliot Andrews, in 1622, and it describes the time of the year the Magos embarked on the journey. In lines 2 and 3 of the first stanza, he calls it the worst time of the year for a journey, and in line 5, he describes that time of the year to be the very dead of winter. The rest of this stanza reads out the difficulties the Magos encountered on their way to the manger where Christ was born and their regrets. Lines 6 to 12 describe the things that they missed at home, which include the summer palace, as seen in line 8, the second girls and sherbets, as seen in the 9th line. In lines 10 and 11, the persona tells us that the camel men who missed their women and liquor cursed, grumbled, and ran away. He goes on to elaborate the difficulties they faced in the course of their journey. They groped in darkness as the night lights were out. They lacked shelter in such a very cold period of the year. The cities and towns they passed on this journey were unfriendly, and the villages they met were dirty and expensive. In line 16, a hard time we had of it is the statement the persona used in summarizing the difficult experience of their journey. In the last 2 lines of this stanza, he wonders if their journey wasn't a stupid one, with voices singing in our ears saying that this was all folly. Now let's go to the second stanza, but before I analyze this stanza, I'll have to read it. Then at dawn we came down to a temperate valley, wet below the snow line, smelling of vegetations, with a running stream and a watermill beating the darkness, and 3 trees on low sky, and an old white horse galloped away in the middle. Then we came to a tavern, with vine leaves over the lintel, 6 hands at an open door dicing for pieces of silver, and feet kicking the empty wine skins. But there was no information, and so we continued, and arriving at the evening, not a moment too soon, finding the place, it was, you may say, satisfactory. Now let's analyze this stanza. And in this stanza, the persona and his men arrived at the city where Christ was born. The weather was temperate, not as harsh as the weather they started off with. The person goes on to narrate the several things they saw in the city, which include the running stream, the 3 trees on low sky, the old white horse, the vine leaves in lines 2 to 5 of this stanza, as they inquired about Jesus' birthplace, and all of the things that the person mentioned are symbolic of the future life of Jesus. It's as if the person is having premonition, yet he doesn't know the significance. In the evening, they arrived at the place of Jesus' birth, and the person seems not to find it satisfactory in the last line of this stanza. The phrase in parentheses, you may say, shows that the person doubts if he finds the place satisfactory. Now, stanza 3. All this was a long time ago, I remember, and I would do it again. But sit down. This sat down. This, were we led all that way for birth or death? There was a birth, certainly. We had evidence, and no doubt I had seen birth and death, but had thought they were different. This birth was hard and bitter agony like death. Our death, we returned to our places, these kingdoms, but no longer at ease here in the old dispensation. With alien people clutching to their gods, I should be glad of another death. Now, let's see the analysis of this stanza. And this is the last stanza of the poem. As it's more blatantly, the Magi is reminiscing about the story. The first line of this stanza, all was a long time ago, shows that the story is something he is remembering, and in his recollection, he seems to doubt whether or not the birth was a good or a bad thing, replacing as it would his own religion and culture. This is seen in the 9th line of this stanza, where he regards birth as a hard and bitter agony. This is because he sees birth to be synonymous with death. The birth of Christ is the death of his old religion. In line 12 to 14, he says the old religion is no longer interesting and will be glad if it is gotten rid of. That is what he means by being glad of another death, as seen in the last line of the poem. I should be glad of another death. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the poetic devices used in the poem. And the first poetic device we're going to consider is allusion. Allusion is a poetic device that occurs when there is a reference to another work. It's a poetic device that occurs when reference is made to another work. There are several references to the Bible and the life of Christ in the poem. In line 23, where the running stream is a reference to living water mentioned in the Bible. In line 24, reference was made to the cross, which was represented by 3 trees. Old white horse in line 25 of this poem represents the horse of the apocalypse found in the Bible. Now, the next figure of speech or poetic device we're going to consider is alliteration. Alliteration. When words that are close to each other in the line of a poem have the same consonant sound, the words are said to be alliterative. You can see this in the first line of the poem called Carmen. Here there's a repetition of k, k in the C in cold and the C in Carmen. Another example is seen in the 18th line, sleeping in snatches. Sleeping in snatches, there's a repetition of s in the S in sleeping and S in snatches. Now, the next one is assonance. An assonance refers to the repetition of vowel sound in words that are close to each other in the line of a poem. Examples are in very and in dead, seen in line 5, and seen in 3 trees in line 4 of the second stanza. Here there's a repetition of in 3 and trees. Now, the next one we're going to consider is enjambment. Enjambment. This poetic device is also called run on line. Run on line. It occurs when a line continues on into the next line without punctuation, and the idea flows from one line into the next line. You'll see this in line 2, line 8, line 11, etc. The next thing we're going to consider is the themes found in the poem. And the first thing we're going to consider is spiritual rebirth. Spiritual rebirth. The poem is a dramatic monologue that narrates the process that the persona passed through to have a spiritual rebirth. The Magi set out to find Christ who had just been born. They abandoned their comfort and faced the excruciating weather conditions on their way to meet baby Jesus, who symbolizes a new faith. The pains and discouragements they faced on their quest to meet baby Jesus represents difficulties one faces when he wants to discard an old religion for a new one. At the end of the poem, the persona finds satisfaction in the new faith he has found and is not disgusted by his old faith. That is why he refers to the people still practicing it in line 11 of the last stanza as alien people clutching to their gods. Another theme that is found in the poem is change. And change only happens when the old order gives way to the new one. And this transformation is always characterized by struggles and pains. This is seen in the difficulties the Magi had to face to meet Jesus after they met Jesus and went home. All the things they enjoyed before meeting Jesus now make them uncomfortable, as seen in line 10 of the third stanza, but no longer at ease here in the old dispensation. So that is about the poem Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot. We've discussed the structure, the analysis, and we also talked about the poetic devices that are found in the poem. Some of the poetic devices in the poem, because you can still find other poetic devices in the poem. We've also talked about some of the things that are found in the poem. So, if you like the video, click on the like button. And on the subscribe button if you have not already subscribed, so you can always get notified each time I upload a new video. And do not forget to share the video to your friends, so you can help as many people as possible to join us in preparing for this year's Wassce. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time in another video. Bye bye for now.